Greetings, Michael! Thank you once again on behalf of myself and all other Sassanis present. Thank you for engaging us in this opportunity to once again have a conversation with you, to have a mutual beneficial interaction with you, and share in our experiences, our understandings, and to come to greater understandings of ourselves therein. Now that we have set up this modality to interact with you, is there anything that you have that you wish to communicate to us on? Please do share. Okay, for the purposes of the recording, we will reiterate your questionings that you have telepathically, so to speak, issued to us. Your first question: who are you? Well, first let me speak for myself. I have, there's a little bit of confusion here with regards to the translation of intention. One moment. We have, when I said I was referring to yourself and me. We have agreed to the naming convention of Kayel to represent my energy. Do understand that as a being on our planet, we do not have namings. We do not find any need for that type of labeling. We simply distinguish each other vibrationally, such that a naming convention would be due to lack of proper wording for our intention, we will simply say irrelevant. So, who do I convey myself as? Well, I am a member of the Essassani civilization. You have chosen to interact with me as when you had an intention to engage in this channeling endeavor. You had set the intention to make a connection with someone from our race, our civilization, and from that intentionality, a connection was formed, and this is somewhat tying into another questioning that you have, so we will let you first ask the next two questions. Second question is, what is our relationship? Very well. Understand that we do have a soul connection, so to speak. We are of the same oversoul. Although I am not what you would call your direct physical, let us say this: I am one of your contemporaries. You do have a life on Essassani, a future, so to speak, life on our planet. However, when you initiated contact, when you desired contact with a member of our society, I picked up the phone, being the one most in sync with your initial intentions. Thus then, a strong bond has formed between us. That is not to say that you do not have a strong bond with your future incarnation on this planet. You do, most definitely. It may just be that the timing for that interchange with that individual, your other self, is not of this moment. it can be at a future moment if you so desire. If you wish to have a communication with your future incarnation, if you wish to have that, simply hold the intentionality, hold the vibration, hold your perception of what your future self's vibration would be in your mind, in your heart, and feel that out. When you get a good sensing, when you get a good feeling within you that you have made some sort of connection, and this is very subjective, if you do not receive any connection, understand that it is not yet time. However, if you do receive a feeling, understand that at that point you can therein initiate a channeling connection. Undergo this process when you are engaging in the channeling state, when you are engaging in your breathing, and you can therein connect with this future self, so to speak, and have a initial introduction and enjoyable engagement with this other entity, other individual. Do understand that you can connect with many other Sassani beings if you so desire, if it is so desirous of you. However, we will allow you to move on to the third question as we are now moving into that discussion as we speak. We will simply allow, okay, I will speak for you very well. The third questioning that the channel has asked of myself is, one moment, what is our agreement? Well, understand that you have an agreement, so to speak, with not only myself, but various other members of our society. And to simplify things, that is, to interact with us when you find it most desirous to do so, when you find yourself most inclined to do so. Nothing is set in stone at this point. However, you have set before the incarnation into this physical body that you are now within an intentionality, a possibility of such engagements taking place. As you know, when you incarnate into your physical body, you have certain avenues that you can explore. You have a overall hallway that you will walk down. Run down that hallway, walk down that hallway, run along the walls upside down, swim through it. You can traverse that hallway any which way you want, but walk through that hallway you will. In that analogy, you can have the understanding that yes, you had an intentionality to explore this aspect, this ability to have a communication with, okay, not only your higher self, but potentially other consciousness that are outside the realm that your society would normally see to be socially acceptable. Okay, we will use that vernacular. So yes, you did have an intentionality to have an exploration of these ideas, and you had a broad contract that should you engage in this such channeling, that you would therein be able to more directly write down the specific terms that you wish to engage in at that moment. You left it somewhat open. You left it not, shall we say, so concrete that, okay, as you know, there are other individuals on your planet who have come forth with a strong intentionality to explore this excitement, shall we say, to a degree wherein there is a level of commitment that they could jump into right away. a 9-year commitment, so to speak. Of course, nothing is ever set in stone. However, you, let us say, had the intention that a contract be set, but you would determine the length at that point when it would come into your physical awareness, your mental awareness that this is a possibility for yourself. So, basically, to sum it up, you are now in the process of writing the fine print of your contract. You can, in a sense, set your terms to be 9 years as well, if you so desire. You can, therein, set an intentionality to engage in, sharing this gift that you have bestowed upon to yourself with others, such that others may be able to avail themselves of what it is that you are undergoing now, and sharing with yourself and us on this line, on the other end. There are many other people here who are listening in and benefiting. However, if you wish to have members of your society listening and benefit as well, that is an option. You can write that in the fine print and thus then have such engagements. It is up to you. It is always up to you. You are a creator. Everything in the realm of possibility is free for you to explore. You are an infinite being. And although there is a certain element of finiteness to this physical reality, as you have come here with the understanding that certain ideas, certain concepts will be a part of the game board, so to speak, unmutable for the most part, unless part of your exploration is to play around with the rules and bend them. So, you can have an infinite number of explorations with this board game in play. You can move your piece in any direction. There are an infinite number of squares, so to speak, on this board game that is your life. Move up, down, left, right, It is a three-dimensional board game. Within, without. You can choose let us say, to move your piece in an infinite number of directions through an infinite number of squares. Now we believe that this has answered your 3 initial questionings to us. To your satisfaction, we will give you a moment to ponder on our answers. Yes, you are wishing, for the purposes of the recording, to have these questionings posed to the other entities that you have had engagements with. We will simply say to you, yes, you have had engagements with other entities. We will not go into further detail. That will be for them to communicate with you on. However, you, if you wish to ask those questions, can establish a connection with the entity that you wish to pose those questions to, and they then will be able to give you a more accurate answer to those questions than we would be able to. So, to reiterate, yes, we do identify ourselves as being of the Essassani civilization, and as an individuated consciousness, we are known as Sassani, as you are known as human being. We will at this point open it up to further questionings. Please do ask. Yes. You can see now that you have availed yourself through the natural unfoldment of your reality, new ideas that have contributed to your ability to fall, into a deeper state of channeling to be in a greater state of allowance of this information so that it can more freely flow and that you can more easily communicate our intentions, our desires through your physical word equivalent. You had availed yourself of knowledge online of breathing techniques, certain breathing techniques which you engaged in this channeling session before you called forth my energies, and that assisted you in establishing a more clear, concise link with my consciousness, and as you can see now, is allowing you to more freely express my ideas in your wording, in your vernacular. Any other questions? Okay, yes. With regards to this individual that you are referencing, who you had a business interaction with, he was, for the purposes of the recording, a person who you had communication with on a daily basis, most often. And you shared in, jokes, and, as you say, memes. You had a laugh with this individual on a consistent basis. You shared of your excitement, as we would say, with this other individual when you found things to be of excitement to you. You were engaging with this other individual in that shared excitement. This person vibrated with you on a similar level, and this allowed for a mutual beneficial friendship. Now that you have, you engaged in a business relationship with him and another individual, and perhaps, no judgment, there was some, misalignment, so to speak, in certain ideas that you engaged in this business venture. And in the exploration of these ideas, it resulted in a reflection to you of how these were, perhaps not the most integrated way of doing things. And thus then, you experienced a situation wherein that individual chose to withdraw his energies, his interactions somewhat. This is that individual's choice, and he is free to interpret and experience the reality of his choosing, as you are as well. You can, if you wish, continue to engage in interactions with him. However, we would suggest that you do so only from a place of alignment. And if you sense that in doing so, if continuing to interact with this individual from a place of alignment is not yielding the response that is indicative that that other individual is meeting you as well at that same place, then that you may wish to engage only with individuals who are of like mind. If that individual is not allowing themselves to engage with you at that level, at this point in time, then you can simply respect that that person has that choice, has that desire to have that exploration wherein he chooses to allow that to occur and simply allow that to play out. If at a future date he is more open to the idea of having an interchange with you, having a laugh with you once again, in a state of joy, a higher vibrational state as you had in the past, then at that point you can have again a mutual beneficial interaction on a level which is joyous for you both. You, if you wish to, repair this relationship, and you find that this is not forthcoming when you are engaging with this individual on a positive level, and you need to, lower your vibration somewhat to address some misalignments in the past, then, if you wish, you can pursue that path. However, we would suggest that you always act from your excitement, act from your joy, and do so from a place of alignment. Doing things in that way, as we had just outlined, would, force you to somewhat lower your vibrational energy and communicate on that lower vibrational plane, which is where the relationship, to some extent, is from that individual's perspective at this moment. And therefore, due to that individual having that perspective, he would be most likely to interact with you if you met him halfway at that energetic level. If you were to lower your vibration and meet him on that lower level, you could thus then more easily engage him in communication. However, as we have said, we will leave it up to your discretion if you wish to do so. However, were we in your situation, of course, we are not telling you how to live your life. We are very busy living our own lives. Thank you very much. However, we would suggest, if we were in your physical shoes, that you act in alignment, in joy, in excitement. And if another individual is not able, or not willing, or not choosing to vibrate at that same level with you, and chooses to, cling to the past, cling to certain ideas, certain things in the past, and play out that idea of victimhood, of you did this to me, and I'm holding a grudge now, and you must now make amends to the situation before we can have a mutual beneficial interaction once again. If that individual wishes to play things out in that way, understand that if you wish to play that game, you may have to lower your vibrational energy, and we would not suggest that you do so. Of course, we will leave things up to you. You must live your life as you desire, as you wish. Anything else that you wish to discuss with us? One moment. The physical channel is querying his database, so to speak, coming up with ideas to converse with us regarding. Yes, back to that question. You have attracted another entity who is someone who can more. Well, at that point in time, when you had the questionings that you did, he was more in alignment, more attuned to your situation, and more able to comment and contribute and give you the understandings that you needed in order to move forward with that idea and to manifest what it is that you wish to manifest with regards to that idea. That is why you attracted that individual entity. That is why you had a communication with that entity. That entity, as from our sensing, was, as you know, yes, reptilian in nature, not hybrid. No. Yes, he was Draco. He, yes, from our understandings, yes, your idea of what he appeared, physically speaking, seems to us from our end to be accurate. 8 feet, yes. Wings, yes. Now, having said this, what now do you wish to do? Very well. You are asking us now for our opinion. Again, understand that if you wish for that entity's opinion on this questioning, you can call them forth from this positioning in this channeling state. We will simply step aside and allow that individual to come through. He is listening in the background, yes. We, from our perspective, will, from your nudging, we will answer this question from our perspective. You have asked, again, it is a very popular exploration, a popular questioning that has come up many times in your channeling sessions. How can I rectify my, libido? As you know, you have engaged in certain explorations with your physical body, going up and down in weight, and in doing so, you have had situations where your hormonal balance was shifted out of alignment, and in doing so, when you engaged in this dieting and brought your body fat down to very low levels, your body engaged into what you call the fight or flight modality, wherein it believed itself to be dying, and from that perspective, reallocated resources, reallocated its priorities such that the reproductive systems within your body did not get the attention that was required for you to maintain a healthy, stable libido, desire. And as you know, as you moved out of that exploration, as you, packed on the pounds, you found that you were not able to engage, not able to experience that same level of desire, that same level of libido that you once had in the past. And you are now finding yourself in a position where you have, for almost 1 year, not had that same level of desire, not being able to explore that, enjoy that desire, that libido, that passion, that drive, that sexual urging, that sexual, release, and the subsequent pleasure that you as humans acquire from that idea. Understand that any desire that you hold, even if it be the reintegration of this balancing of your hormonals, your hormonal balancing, shall we say, this can be done. You can reestablish a hormonal balance. You can reestablish your desire. You can reestablish a healthy desire, a healthy libido. If you have the intentionality, the excitement about that idea, and you wish to have that exploration with a female on your planet, then understand that the desire in and of itself, the excitement in and of itself, tells you that it can be fulfilled by you in this moment, step by step. Understand that if it is not coming to fruition 100% in this now moment, that you can still make movements towards it. You can still act on whatever is available to you at this current timing, and do so to the best of your ability, and that will lead you to the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And that is all you can do, is act on what is available to you in every now moment to the best of your ability, with no expectancy on how things must turn out from that action. And that will allow things to unfold in the shortest time frame, for you to manifest that which you want for yourself in the shortest time frame. In this case, being the libido and desire, the desire that you wish for yourself to experience once again. Now, having said all this, we would simply say to act on what is exciting to you with regards to this issue. You wish to have a, stable, healthy libido from day to day that does not fluctuate up and down, up and down. Yes, this is attainable for you. Simply do what we have outlined, and you will find yourself moving in that direction. That is all we have to say with regards to this issue. If you wish further information, please avail yourself of the other entity. He will be able to be more forthcoming with information at this moment. Anything else, we will wait in a holding pattern for you to gather your thoughts. Yes, the Bashar entity, the Elan entity are always in the background, so to speak, to some degree or another when you engage in channeling sessions. They may be more so engaged at some points and less so at others. At this point in time, they have been more, contracted. They are not so much listening in. However, they are within earshot. If you would simply state your desire to have a more one-on-one interaction with them, they are always forthcoming if you have an intentionality and an excitement to engage with them on some level. They can meet you halfway at any point that you find yourself excited to do so. Take that as an indication that they too have the ability to meet you halfway. And you can at that point ask and see what happens. Okay? As you gain more experience with the channeling sessions that you are undergoing, you will find them to be more liberating, more energizing, not so draining. When you are in a mind state of forcing the channeling to occur, when you are not so much in a deeper state of consciousness, a deeper state of channeling, a deeper state of allowance and trust, you may find that you are forcing the situation to occur more so than at other times. And when you are doing so, when you are engaging in the channeling at that level, you may find yourself drained to an extent from the interaction. However, if you simply practice the breathing that you have been in before engaging in this channeling session and allow that to bring you to a state of consciousness wherein information is more forthcoming and you are more allowing of that information to free flow through your tone, the physical channel is getting tongue-tied. Well, our intention was to say, when you allow the words to flow more easily from that state of being, that state of consciousness, you will find that you are more energized by the interaction when you come out of it. Simply practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. And you will find that as time goes on, you will find these interactions become more and more relaxing, more and more invigorating, and, of course, enjoyable and exciting. As all of them are, equally exciting in their own way. Now, anything further? We are getting a sensing that the channel wishes to engage in the rest of his day. So, we will allow this session to come to a close. We will thank the physical channel at this moment. We will take this opportunity to thank you, Michael, once again for allowing this channeling session to take place at this timing. And we, again, thank you for your boldness to engage in this out-of-the-box thinking, this out-of-the-box type of interaction. That is, not so much mainstream within your society. And we notice and appreciate your willingness, your boldness to go forth into this exploration, freely following your excitement, without questioning, without allowing, any external judgments to get in the way, so to speak. And we look forward to our future engagements, our future interactions, our future sharings with you. We thank you. This has been a mutual beneficial for myself and all other Sassanis listening in. And as you know, of course, this has been very exciting to you. We do sense that as well. We do pick up on that as well. So, having said all this, we will take our leave of you. We wish you a good day, a good rest of your day, and we will have future interactions at another date. Oh, one moment. We are getting a last-minute questioning from the channel. Very well, we will address this before we terminate our interaction. The physical channel had, the physical channel had a dream wherein he awoke abruptly from it, and in the middle of the night, after awakening very quickly from his dream, he had a sensing, had a visualization of a UFO, a flying saucer, a disc-shaped craft with lights around it, saucer-shaped, and a sensing of a sound from that craft, oscillating, vibrating sound, changing in pitch from lower to higher pitch. That followed by a visualization when the channel shifted his physical head in his bed to the side, had a visualization that there was a manifestation of a, gray-like or perhaps hybrid-like being's head in close proximity to him. Understand that these imageries are from the dream reality overlaying onto the physical reality. When you have engagements, explorations in your dream reality, you have visualizations within your mind's eye, pictures flowing across the back of your, closed eyelids. This phenomenon was taking place to some extent when you were awakening, and this crossover effect, due to you being halfway in the dream reality, halfway in the physical waking moment, you sensed it to be somewhat present in your physical reality. And this, thus then, was what some people would consider to be a hallucination. However, this is a misunderstanding of what is transpiring. What is transpiring is your interpretation of an interaction that took place in the dream reality. You, as you know, cannot translate fully the interactions that take place on that level into your third density reality, as the understandings that take place, the knowingness that occurs on that dream state reality can only be understood from that dream state reality. Once you step into this physical third dimensional reality, what is germane to the dream reality has to be downloaded to some extent into the physical reality in order for that to make sense in any way. As the dream reality is very different from your physical reality, and certain ideas, certain concepts, certain communications simply do not translate into your physical third dimensional reality. Thus then, this translates in the form of dreams. When you have awakened into your physical reality and you have a recollection of a dream, understand that that is not exactly what physically happened in the dream state reality. It is simply a translation of certain ideas, certain concepts that played out in that dream state reality. And your dreams are a way of you pulling that information, that understanding down into the lower third dimensional vibrational state. And thus then allowing you to glean information that you can utilize in your three-dimensional reality in some way. That is the purpose of dreams. For you to communicate with yourself, so to speak, in some way. To send a message through a tube, so to speak, and have something to roll around with, play with, in the third dimensional reality. Pull something back, so to speak, through a tunnel. This is what transpired when you were awakening. You were coming out of the dream state reality somewhat abruptly. And you were, so to speak, in the throes of a communication with an entity on that level. And this was communicated to you through the imagery that you encountered when you were coming to, so to speak, into your third dimensional reality. This translated in the imagery of the flying saucer, in the sound of the flying saucer. That sound was representative of the changing pitch, was representative of you lowering your vibration from the higher dream state to the lower vibration. It was symptomology of your transition from dream state to physical state. And this was present due to you being highly engaged with someone that was on a consciousness that was on a higher vibrational level. When you are in communication with a consciousness on that higher vibrational level, that tends to, if you jar it, if you suddenly come out of it, tends to translate into these auditory sensations, perceived auditory sensations, shall we say. And that is what you were drawing upon. So, yes, you had a interaction with a being. We will say that, yes, he was, gray. We will not make any further. We will not state specifically if he was gray or otherwise. That is not within our domain to speak on. That is simply, from our perspective, it's not yet time for us to discuss that. So, we will simply say, yes, he was a extraterrestrial, and yes, he was friendly, of course. And the more and more if you can come out of such a sensing into your third dimensional reality with not so much that state of fear as we sense you had to some extent coming out, although you quickly corrected that and had an understanding that yes, this was, if it was an interaction, was a positive interaction, the more and more you can come out of your dream state reality and come into your physical state with an, let us say, aligned knowingness that you are loved and you can only have loving interactions in your dream state or otherwise, that will therefore allow more information to be free-flowing with regards to who that individual you're communicating with was. All right? Thank you. We will now allow you to, move on with your day. We thank you once again for allowing this interaction with us, with our society. We thank you, and we will simply say to you, have a good day, and, of course, as always, later on in the day, pleasant dreams. Good day.